everyone. We are joined by FreQnik, who is a developer at Meile dVPN. Is it pronounced Meile or Melee?
Meile. Yeah, it's an Estonian word that means for us. So
Very cool. Um, yeah, I visited Estonia once. Very peaceful place.
yeah, the other main developer on Meile is developed on the Sentinel blockchain, which is a DePIN infrastructure in Cosmos. And the other main developer is actually in Estonia. I'm in the U.S., but I just borrowed a word from their dictionary. But he's in Estonia, and he's one of the main developers on Sentinel as well.
Awesome. Good to know. So I'm actually curious. We did have a space some time ago, and we were joined by Sentinel. But at the time, it was kind of confusing how Sentinel and Mailer um, are like interact with each other, or how Melee is dependent on the Sentinel blockchain in some way. So perhaps today we could clarify some of those details. Um, yeah, I'm gonna try and share my screen for a moment. dVPN. Okay. Right, so hopefully you can see my screen. We've got the Sentinel website open. So yeah, could you explain perhaps what Sentinel is and how Melee interacts with this project?
Yeah, so Sentinel is a layer one blockchain in the Cosmos ecosystem, and it uses the Cosmos SDK to build its main hub blockchain. And the main purpose of Sentinel is to provide decentralized VPN access using DHT nodes, so peer-to-peer nodes that register on the blockchain, and then applications. Sentinel has a unique program where they use white label applications, so anybody can develop an application on Sentinel. So there's Vault. There's actually one centralized VPN, RIN, that moved to Sentinel. There's Norse Labs, which is the main developer on Sentinel, and then there's us, Mela, and my company's Math Nodes, and we're a validator on the Sentinel blockchain. And we develop applications, analytics for a large portion of the privacy coin space in general, but our main focus is Sentinel. And so what we do is we create a client application that speaks to the Sentinel blockchain and allows connectivity to the nodes that are registered on the Sentinel blockchain. And we do that through two different ways. We can do it where you can use the native Sentinel coin or IBC assets like Atom or Osmo, and you can pay a node directly using gigabyte or hourly payments. Or you can do, which is our most popular method, really, is using privacy coins such as ZEC to pay for a subscription plan. So the difference is that before you're paying per gigabyte, right? So maybe you only want 2 gigabytes. You just need to check your email under a VPN. Whereas the subscription plans are unlimited bandwidth. So if you want to have it always on, maybe you're running a ZEC node that you want behind a VPN, so you can have an unlimited bandwidth subscription, pay in ZEC, and then your server or whatever can talk to a node and stay connected that way, and you won't have to worry about, it's only a 24-hour plan, or it's unlimited. There's actually three protocols on Sentinel. There's WireGuard, which I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with. There's OpenVPN, even though that hasn't really been adopted by the nodes. And then there's something called V2Ray. Now, V2Ray was introduced in 2023 as a Sentinel upgrade. And what it is it was developed by Chinese engineers about, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, to circumvent the Great Firewall of China. It uses a host of different protocols underneath the layer: VMES, VLES, a whole bunch domain socket, a whole bunch of different kind of protocols. and it disguises the traffic as regular TLS traffic. And there's also other little implementations that you can kind of tweak in the V2 Ray config. But it's been very popular with our Iranian user base and our Russian user base because those countries tend to censor their internet significantly. So it's been successful in those countries. We have a big Iranian user base, and we have Iranian users that test the protocols and make sure that they have censorship free internet. Um, we Sentinel will probably switch to WireGuard Amnesia, which is also very censorship resistant. That's in the works right now, and so old WireGuard nodes will continue to work, but it'll have an additional implementation of WireGuard Amnesia, and that's actually what NIM uses as well as Amnesia. And it's been really successful. I don't know the underlying protocol kind of cloaking that it uses, but it's been successful in a lot of countries. So Sentinel will upgrade to that. I think probably this year, maybe even within the next few months. Um, and then there's also on Sentinel something called Scout, which is another aspect of the decentralized public infrastructure network that Sentinel runs. And Scout is a AI data retrieval. So it uses Android phones to scrape for AI data retrieval. So people can use the Scout API, and if they're using an agent or something and they want to scrape websites, they can connect to the decentralized AI scrapers that are ran on Android phones, and they can pay a API, pay per use or pay per subscription. And so that's the other aspect of Sentinel, and that's getting a lot of traction now with the rise of AI and um, immediate scraping abilities of AI agents to fetch live data at the fingertip. So those are the main aspects of Sentinel, and Meile is a client for the dVPN part. We do hope to one day integrate other kind of Cosmos things like Jackal and stuff like that, but that's down the road if we get around to it. But we're mainly focused on the dVPN, and we're hoping to roll out an Android app later this year, possibly an iOS, that will be interoperable with Meile. We do have another developer team that is working with the Meile backend, and so their application is called Fortress dVPN. Um, it'll be interoperable with Meile, so if you pay for a subscription, you'll be able to use it in their app as well. So that should be released in the next couple of months as well. So lots on the pipeline, but today I'm going to do a live demo of the desktop VPN Meile, and hopefully it'll garner some interest.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a great rundown. Um, and yeah, pretty interesting to learn about V2 Ray and WireGuard. Um, what was the upgrade to WireGuard you mentioned? It was like
It's called WireGuard Amnesia. So I don't know the technical specifications of what it enhances, but it does work in restricted countries such as China, Iran, and Russia and stuff like that. So Sentinel's main focus has always been getting an open internet for censored countries. That's always been one of our main focuses.
brilliant. And yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that, at the moment you may not live in China or Iran or North Korea or whatever. But like gradually we are seeing more restrictions in what information people are able to access online. Um, and yeah, there's like increasing identity verification for using even like social apps. So yeah, it's good to see that there are projects like Melee. Um, and I suppose very quickly, could you give us an explanation of what a dVPN is as opposed to a VPN?
So in traditional VPNs like Mullvad, I mean, I'm not dissing Mullvad, they're a good company, but NordVPN, which has its issues, but those all their every server that you connect to when you use their VPN to tunnel your traffic is owned and operated by that entity. So the thing about that is they have to be compliant on subpoenas because they own the servers that people tunnel their traffic to. There can be a lot of warrantless searches, and they can also log information and sell your market data as well, since it's a single hop route, and so they know the incoming and outgoing traffic from your home IP and so on. Whereas a decentralized, the nodes are community ran, so it's permissionless. Anybody can run a node on Sentinel, and so you have this complete geography of users all around the world that are running nodes. So there's no central authority that controls the nodes that users are connected to. So it limits the trust issue, or it reduces the trust issue that people may have with a centralized VPN, where you're trusting that entity to not log or to not sell your data or to not turn over your data to governments. If you're a dissident or a political rival or whatever, that's a very real thing that happens in the world. And so decentralized nodes, I don't want to say impossible because I don't like that word, but it's very, very hard to compromise the entire Sentinel network. There's about, I think, 1,100 nodes right now on Sentinel, and there's various node runners. And so the one aspect that people are saying, well, how can you trust these? Well, everything you do in life, you're putting some trust into something. Even blockchains have a set of trusted peers, bootstrap peers that they have to trust to verify the integrity of the chain. So there's always some level of trust that you have to go into using something. But Meile kind of reduces this level by we have something called the node formula in Meile, which it's a little status, it's a little data entry point, which gives a rating 0 to 100 of the node. And what factors into this rating is how long it's been on the Sentinel blockchain, what the uptime is, what the ISP type is. Like, is it a residential node? Is it ran from somebody's house? Or is it a data center node? And then our user submitted feedback rating. So you'll see that in the screen share, that when we disconnect from a node, users can submit a feedback on a scale to 1 to 10 of how good the quality of the node was. And so this gets all put into databases on our APIs, and it's fed into Meile in the node screen, and it gives users the ability to make informed decisions about whether or not they want to trust a node. And also, you can also join the Sentinel community, and you'll see that many node runners are public, I guess you would say. They have a pseudonym, but they disclose what nodes they run, and they're active in the community. So I'd be able to identify, if you join the Sentinel community, like what node runners you can trust more than others, and so on and so forth. So it reduces the trust level in the sense that all the nodes aren't centralized and controlled by one entity. But like I said, there's always some trust level going into things, and I think the decentralized network, for me personally, I feel much safer using it than a traditional VPN.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good to have that information available, like which nodes tend to go down very often. Um, and yeah, I'd just like to maybe it's somewhat abstract at the moment, but I think let's look for some real world examples. Um, I don't know. I think it was during Zcom. Um, was it Omega that tried to use Signal, or maybe it was Els that tried to use Signal, but you weren't able to sign up for Signal because, like, it was country blocked or something. Um, someone let me know in chat. Are you able to use Signal in Nigeria? Um, I think it'd be pretty interesting to know. Because yeah, if access to like secure messaging systems aren't available in some countries, you're probably going to want to use a dVPN, as FreQnik just explained. If a centralized company receives like a request from some government agency to give us a list of everyone that uses Signal, they would have to comply. So yeah, Signal works it. Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, another nice feature about decentralized VPNs is that you have people who run nodes from their house. So a lot of times you'll see services restrict VPNs from data centers, right? So IP addresses that come from data centers, because they know it's probably a VPN, and there's been a lot of companies that have restricted the use of VPN while using their services. So in Meile, there's residential nodes, which are people that run in from a basic home line, right? So these aren't flagged by any IP intelligence services as a VPN. They're flagged as a residential line. And so that breaks the geo blocking of a lot of these services that don't allow VPNs. And there's a good list of residential nodes, and you can actually search for residential nodes in Meile and connect to them in case a service is blocking a VPN usage.
Super interesting. I didn't know that. So I guess we'll go right ahead with the live walkthrough of how to install Melee on your machine, and get it up and running. So I will stop sharing and hand it over to FreQnik.
Okay, so in this rundown, we'll show basically starting Melee from scratch, and then paying in Zec for a subscription plan, and then connecting to a node. And I'll give some other information as I find necessary. So, all right. Okay, so basically, you go to Melee.app, you download your version. So I'm on Mac OS, and I already have a copy here. So it's a DMG file. So you just drag Melee into applications. And this is developer signed by Apple, so we have an Apple certificate. So it will be available in the app stores eventually. That's just some compliance stuff we have to go work with. So, and then so this is from initial launch. So this is version 2.54, which isn't publicly available on our website yet, but it is on our GitHub. So everything in Melee is open source. Every commit is PGP signed and uploaded to GitHub. So this is basically your help. What is Sentinel and what's a mnemonic? And so when you first launch Melee, it will automatically create a Sentinel wallet for you. So this is how it talks to the blockchain, right? So that's the major difference between the decentralized VPNs and traditional VPNs, is that there's a unique wallet that talks to the blockchain. So you can see that I don't have any coins yet. You can create a new wallet, refuel. This was our top-up gateway that we initially had when we first launched. We had to disable that because we had a lot of scammers. So you can view your seed. This is probably the first thing you should do, is view your seed, um, and copy it and save it somewhere. So in the main screen, you can click these little location pins, and you can see how many nodes are available in different countries. And you can click on Spain, and this will give you the list of nodes. So if you want to click on a node, this one here. So this is all the ones in Spain. And then this is the main node screen. So this is what I was talking about, formula, votes, null. So this doesn't have any formula yet. It hasn't been computed because it relies on votes. But it shows the protocol. Handshake is a decentralized DNS service. It's actually really cool. It's very interesting service that they have. They've been around for quite a few years, and they're trying to basically wrangle the control out of ICANN from DNS. So some nodes run handshake DNS. It's pretty cool. Doesn't work all the time, so sometimes you have to configure your own DNS for that. So these are the nodes in Spain, and then quick review, there's settings. So in version 2.53, we implemented something, or in 2.50, we implemented something called ring sessions. So every decentralized VPN creates a session transaction on the chain. So when your wallet talks to a node, it has to create a transaction in order for things to be authenticated between the node and the client to ensure authentication, trustworthiness, and all that stuff, encrypted communications. So we introduced something in 2.50 called ring sessions, which borrows a page out of Monero's book and creates decoy session transactions. So this is used for subscription plans. So what it does is when you connect to a node, it will create 8 decoy transactions of connecting to all different all random nodes. And so your real transaction session is hidden amongst 8 other ones. And so it allows for difficulty in blockchain analysis to discern what metadata can be extracted from a sessions transaction. So in version 2.53, we made this the default because it's worked flawlessly. So now this is the automatic default. You can toggle it off if you want. It'll reduce the connection time to a node. But I suggest leaving it on because Sentinel is not a full ZK chain yet. I have lobbied the Sentinel Foundation to make the session transaction zero knowledge. However, zero knowledge is very new in the Cosmos ecosystem. Penumbra launched in 2024 in July, and that was the first ZK chain in Cosmos. So it's still very new in Cosmos, working with the Comet BFT and other blockchain infrastructure. So hopefully we do see a ZK session transaction in the future. But as for now, we use the decoys, and I suggest leaving that on. These are all different connectivities. So how it talks to the nodes is through a gRPC, which is basically everything in blockchain uses an RPC to talk to the blockchain, or every client uses an RPC to talk to the blockchain. So there's various ones. You can just leave all that default, but there is certain ones like the one in Singapore that Russian users have suggested works very well in Russia. Some of the ones in Canada don't connect from Russia. So anyway, so that's that. And then we can go to our plans, and we'll do a subscription using Zec.
Very cool. Just before we carry on, um, so looking at the ring sessions, since we're paying in Zec, I guess on the back end, is there a Sentinel asset transaction that pays for the actual connection to the node?
Yes. So
yeah.
in the wallet, you'll see it's I still have the old ticker. Our ticker used to be dVPN. It's actually P2P now. I just haven't changed it. But so what'll happen is when you subscribe in Zec, this will automatically get topped up from our back end. So you have 4 P2P or 4 dVPN that will be sent to this wallet here, and that'll be paid for gas for transactions on the Sentinel blockchain. And this balance always gets topped up. It gets topped up every 24 hours to make sure you have enough P2P or dVPN to pay for transactions on the blockchain. So there is a little instruction here on what you want to do with a plan. You can see that it has a unique ID, expires null, deposit null. So this means we haven't paid for any plans yet. This is the basic plan and then the premium plan. So in order to subscribe, you just click the subscribe button. There's a bunch of different ways you can pay. You can pay within the wallet. So if you're using IBC tokens like Cosmos or Osmo or P2P, you can pay directly from your wallet. But for our purpose, we want to do a BTC pay because that's how you pay in Zcash. So we'll click that, and then you can select your desired duration that you want to subscribe to. So it's from 1 month to 1 year. So we'll just do one month, and then you can. This isn't a necessary step, but it shows that ZEC is an option, and what that does is basically tell you what it's going to cost. So it should cost around 0.02 with a small percent added on in order to um, incentivize people who pay with the native coin. So we'll hit subscribe, and it'll bring us to our payment gateway. So this is BTC Pay, and we want to pay with Zcash. So I'm going to be using Y Wallet actually, just to get this done. So if you use Zottle, you can just scan the QR code and it'll input all the information. So for the premium plan, 1 month is $641. So we can go ahead and send this transaction off now. And it
Cool.
should
Take
register.
about 70 seconds.
Did
um,
that help?
75 seconds. Yeah, so in the meantime, I guess I should mention a bunch of other payment methods there. You do support other privacy chains. And so, yeah, maybe you could speak to the rationale of having privacy preserving payment for a VPN service.
So yeah, so
Um,
we don't accept fiat currencies because um, for the most part, common users will attach their identity to the unique identifiers on our end, and so we eliminate that component of the data that goes along with identity and what services they're using. So we use privacy coins because it eliminates any data on our end that may be possibly subpoenaed, because then we don't know anything about our end users. We don't know their identity. We don't know how they paid uh, besides the coin. But if they pay with a privacy coin, we don't know their blockchain address or anything. So it actually is good for us to implement those because it restricts our knowledge of anything about our users. So it limits what we know about our users, and we don't collect any telemetry or anything like that um, with our users. We do have a ping just to get, it's just a heartbeat, just so we know like how active our users are, but it doesn't have any identifiable information like what node they connect to or any of that stuff. Um, so it's really good. We implemented Pirate Chain back in June last year, and we got Firo, we got Zephyr, we got Xano, and I think that's it on the privacy chain front.
yeah, just looking at your extensions, I can see Namada and Penumbra as well.
Uh, no, we don't accept Namada or Penumbra. We do have Namada as a coin that you can IBC to the Sentinel chain, and so you can pay with that. It comes from Osmo, so you have to IBC to Osmo and then to Sentinel. That I don't expect any usage out of that, but yeah, we are active in the Namada and Penumbra community as well. But we don't, you can't pay for the service in that yet.
Something interesting I saw.
Oh,
Hey,
there
there
you
we
go.
are. Have we got sound effects in the
I've
stage?
actually never tested paying with Zec on this. I just assumed it worked. But I saw your transactions go through last week, so I was like, oh, good, it works. Okay, cool. So we'll go back here. So actually, Meile is finishing up now. Let's see. Yeah, I noticed you guys are very active in Penumbra and Namada as well, which is really cool because they use the Zcash params and stuff like that. So okay, so it's been we've our wallet address. So basically, what it was doing is it was talking to our API backend. So it talks to BTC Pay and makes sure the invoice was paid, and once it registers paid, it talks to our API and it says, "Hey, this has been paid by this wallet address." So we do know this Meile wallet address, but if you pay in a privacy coin, there's no linkability between that and your payment. So it's basically useless data for anybody troving the Sentinel blockchain. It's just it has no linkability or identifiers in it, so it becomes useless data in that sense. So it's been added to plan number 40, which is the ID on the Sentinel blockchain. So we'll just go ahead and reload the plan. So before you see that it's null coin, there's no ID. So we'll just reload the plans. Now you can see that it was paid with ZEC. It expires May 3rd at this time. And this is the ID. So this is used to connect to the nodes. So in order to connect to the nodes, you want to expand the plan. So normally it starts off like this, expand the plan. And on the left side here, it'll show the nodes that are connected to. So all the nodes on Sentinel are not connectable with our plans because we personally have to pay the nodes first to be able to add them to the plan. So to reduce the cost on our end, we have about 156 nodes, which is very sufficient. 36 countries. That really competes with a lot of centralized VPNs. So we're happy with the selection of nodes we have, and we actually I hand picked these nodes based on some of our calculations of quality of service and who the community members that are very active and that I know personally that I've had many calls with and stuff like that. They run nodes, and so they're very trustworthy. So you can there's a high level of trust that goes into picking the nodes for our plans. So we'll go to Mexico because I love connecting these Mexico nodes. I don't know why. It's hard. I've dealt with a lot of traditional VPNs, and rarely have I ever found nodes in Mexico on them. I think Crypto Storm was the only one. So this one we'll connect to this one here. Land and Freedom. Uh, it's a V2 Ray protocol, and I'm selecting this one just so you can see how it works, because I think most people are familiar with WireGuard. So you click on the node and then you can just click connect. So this is the ring sessions I mentioned earlier.
And could I jump in for a quick question? Oh,
Go ahead.
yeah. So I have several VPNs on all of my devices, and most of them use WireGuard. So, like, I think from our testing last week, um, it's, I guess, helpful if you disconnect from the other applications which use WireGuard before connecting to Melee. Would that be fair?
Yeah, so I've had users that have ran Proton VPN on their Mac, and it interfered with how Meile registers the VPN tunnel and all that. So and I think they even said that Meile interfered with Proton too. So I guess it works both ways. But yeah, it's good to close your VPN apps or just make sure they're not running when using another VPN app, because it's just there's so much in the background with the networking stack, uh, the routes of traffic on your machine, all this back end hidden stuff that you don't see, that can really interfere with other VPNs because they're doing similar stuff. Maybe they have a little different configuration, and so that really just confuses the operating system as to where do I send my traffic, right? So it's good to just have one VPN app open at a time. So connected to the V2Ray, so you'll see this. This is a new feature that we added in the last release, and in this release that will be completed for Linux today, but it is available for Mac OS and Windows. So this is a V2Ray QR code. So the unique thing about V2Ray is that you can connection share with it. So once you connect on Sentinel, you can visit dvpn.my/v2ray, and that'll take you to this companion app called V2Ray NG. It's created by Chinese engineers. It was one of the first mobile V2Ray apps ever produced. And you download it on, I don't think it's available for Apple. It might be, but with Android, they have the APK, and you download it and you can just scan this QR code and then you can share your session on desktop and mobile. So this was a really cool feature that we added that is unique to V2Ray. It allows multiple connections to the same server, so you can have basically unlimited devices using this connection on Sentinel. So we'll hit OK, and you'll see that we're in Mexico now. So this shows the your IP address as connected, the node, and then the protocol, and then you're basically download and upload stats and the time connected. So it'll say protected.
Fascinating. I would say that is a huge advantage of Melee over Mulvad. I think on Mulvad you're limited to 5 devices, but yeah, unlimited is crazy.
Yeah, so that's what's really cool about V2Ray is the way it's a very advanced protocol. Very, like, I mean, it's been developed, it's been forked 100 times, and it's really widely developed, and a lot of people are putting a lot of energy into it because it's been so successful with censored regimes. But yeah, so in case you missed the QR code, we added this little feature down here, connection sharing. And this will say, well, you know, what protocol, and since we're on V2Ray over here, we can click that, and it'll show the QR code again. So you can always bring it up on your desktop, and then you can use the companion app to connect. Right now, my phones are connected to a node I connected to like 3 days ago. They're still connected to a V2Ray node from 3 days ago, even though this is a different node that I'm connected to now. As long as there is an active connection on Sentinel, it won't become deactivated, right? So once I disconnect all my devices from this session on Sentinel, then it'll flush out the session on the Sentinel blockchain, and then your connection sharing will no longer work until you reconnect to a node. So